Good morning, students. This morning we shall be talking about simple interest. The objective of the class, number one, to define interest. The second, to distinguish between interest and amount. And the last, to solve simple questions on interest. Now, when we say interest, simple interest and compound interest are the two types of interest that we have. But before we go to simple or compound interest, let us define interest. Interest simply means a charge on borrowed money. What did I say?
Charge on borrowed money.
Again?
A charge on borrowed money.
I want you to take note of that. Put that in mind. A charge on borrowed money. So why is it borrowed money? The borrowed money is also known as capital. It's also known as what?
Capital.
It's known as what?
Capital.
I hope you are taking note of the terms. Borrowed money, capital, and the capital is also known as principal. It's also known as what?
Principal.
It's also known as
Principal.
Now, when we talk about simple interest, it is different from compound interest. It is simple because it's basically calculated on yearly agreement. But if it is compound interest, it is interest of interest. Compound interest is what?
Interest of interest.
Again?
Interest of interest.
Now, we are going to base this class on simple interest. There are two important formulas in simple interest. The first is simple interest, which is represented with I, is P times R times T over 100. I want you to repeat that. Interest equals to PRT over 100.
Interest equals to PRT over 100.
Again?
Interest equals to PRT over 100.
Okay, can somebody tell me the meaning of the P there? Yes?
Principal.
Principal. Thank you. P is principal. Yes, can you tell me the meaning of the R? With R stand for rate. And can you help us with the T? Time. The T is time. The 100 here is a constant, so it will always appear in the formula. And principal is always the amount of money, like I said, is also known as capital. Principal is also known as
Capital.
Principal is also known as
Capital.
So it is the amount of money. So it depends on the unit of money you are considering. The rate is always in percentage, and the time is always based on year. Are we following?
Yes.
Okay. Now another important formula is amount. Amount equals to principal plus interest. Say that, everybody.
Amount equals to principal plus interest.
Amount equals principal plus interest.
Amount equals principal plus interest.
Amount is the sum of the principal, the capital that is borrowed, and the interest on the capital that is borrowed. So if somebody borrow an amount of money from a bank, from another person, from money lenders, or from anywhere, what you should expect is by the time you are returning the money, you are not only returning the capital, you are returning what is called amount. You are returning what?
Amount.
You are returning what?
Amount.
I want you to say that again. Amount equals principal plus interest.
Amount equals principal plus interest.
These two important formulas have been asked you as we move on in the class. So now let's just talk. Let's solve one or two examples. Let us solve one or two examples. One or two examples. Example 1. We want to calculate the simple interest on 150,000 naira that is borrowed for 2 years and at the rate of 20%. At the rate of 20%. 150,000 naira is borrowed for 2 years at the rate of 20%. Now the 150,000 is standing for what? Who can tell me? Yes?
Principal.
Thank you, principal. And the 2 years is standing for time. And then the last is standing for what? Rate. Thank you, everybody. Is standing for rate. I told you to always be in what? Percentage. Now, to find the simple interest for this question is going to be interest equals to 150,000 times 20 times 2. Everything over 100. 0, we cancel 0. 0, we cancel 0. We now have 1,500 times 2, which is 3,000, right? Then we have 3,000 times 20, which will be what? 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 60,000. So 60,000 is the interest on this money borrowed, on this capital, Now, can somebody tell me what is going to be the amount at the end of 2 years? Yes? The amount at the end of 2 years. Yes, can you tell us?
That will be principal plus interest, and the answer will be 210,000.
210,000. Principal plus interest. Thank you. Amount equals to principal plus interest. The principal is what? 150,000. And the interest is 60,000. Finally, that will be what? 210,000. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I want to give you a kind of recap from the beginning, and I'm going to be asking you some questions. Number 1, can somebody tell me or define briefly what we mean by interest? Yes? Interest is, again, you can come again. No. Yes, can you help us with that?
Interest is the charge to be paid calculated, made or owed, calculated on a yearly basis.
Okay, interest is calculated on a yearly basis and is paid, in charge paid. Yes, another one. Can somebody give me another definition? Another definition, yes.
Interest is charge put on borrowed money.
Interest is the charge put on borrowed money. Yes, can we have another one? Can we have another one? I told you it is the money you gain on invested capital. Money you gain on what?
Invested capital.
It is the money you gain on invested capital. Somebody that is borrowing out money is doing a kind of business too. So he's investing his what? Money. And borrowing you the money is expecting a kind of return. That return is what we know as interest. So that is going to stand for his own profit, for you making use of his money. Are we clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, another question. What is the difference between simple interest and amount. Can somebody tell us what is the difference between amount and interest? Yes?
Interest is a charge money, while amount is principal plus interest.
Thank you. He said interest is the charge on borrowed money, while the amount is the sum of the principal plus the what? Interest. It means that, can we say that principal is always greater, or can we say that interest is always greater than amount? Is that statement correct? Interest is always greater than amount.
No.
Yes? Can you answer the question? Is interest always greater than amount? No. Yes? Is interest always greater than amount? No. Why?
Because principal plus interest brings a bigger amount.
Thank you. She said because principal added with interest, we always have a bigger value. So you can't say that interest is greater than amount, because amount is interest plus principal itself. So that will be the main thing we are going to do in this class for today. But I want to give you a kind of assignment, and I want you to write it down. Find the interest on 250,000 naira at 2.5% per annum for a period of 5 years. For a period of 5 years. Thank you very much. That will be the end of the class for today. But before we leave, I asked you about principal and interest, and I told you that there are important formulas. The first one is interest equals to principal times rate times time over 100. And the last one is amount equals to principal plus what?
Interest.
Can you state this and this together now?
Interest equals principal times rate times time over 100, and amount equals to principal plus interest.
Thank you. I'll see you in the next class.